So I have this welding table I built this year, and it's made out of a old horizontal boring mill table. And I need to be able to tie things down to it to be able to use it. So for that I need some T-nuts. Pretty big slot, about 1.25 inches tall, and there's not a lot of commercially available ones in my price range. So I'm going to use this piece of 2x2 bar from an old agricultural planter, and we're going to shape it in shape on my new shaper. I thought I'd take a moment to pause and introduce my new shaper. It's a Vernier French brand, probably made in the 1970s. Has a 450mm stroke, or about 18 inches, 3.5 horsepower motor, 6 gears to select the stroke rate, 5 feed rates, vertical and horizontal feed, and a tool lifter. I had to do a little bit of repair to replace a broken ratchet ball and a whole lot of general cleaning, but it's in like new condition wear-wise, and it's going to be a great machine for me. Now back to the show. And drill the holes and cut it off with the hacksaw, and we'll have T-nuts for the table. So let's get going. Seems like it might be about time to do some maintenance on the cutting fluid. Alright, so we got the stock installed. Copper box is set up. Next we need to set the stroke length and set the stroke position so that it starts and ends correctly. To set the stroke length, we're going to get the cutter close to the action. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and lock down the front support. Next, we will jog the shaper to the rear of its stroke so that we can read the stroke length off the scale. Looks like right now we're at 125. Then we're going to loosen this knob and run the hand crank until this needle indicates the length that we need. And since this bar has been cut to 13 inches, and we want about an inch on each side of it, or at least a ½ inch, that gives us 370 millimeters of stroke length that we're trying to achieve. So there's about 370, and we'll lock the knob back down. Then we want to set the start position. To do that, we'll loosen this knob and push the cutter forward until it's about where it needs to be. All right, so we lock it back down. We're about a ½ inch short. I'm going to hit my jog button again and test that stroke. And it looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and select the slower speed as well. There's the speed chart. You can see we're running about 370 millimeters of stroke length, which puts us along this line for speed, which is in 36. I also have it on a VFD, so I can go a little bit slower. While we're here, we can also set a feed rate. I have it set at about 4,000 step over right now, so I'm going to increase that a little bit to get to 8,000 step over, which is based on these ratchet pawls. They can only do a whole number of steps at a time, which is 0.1 millimeters, or about 4 thousandths. The other thing is, since we're using carbide, I'm going to engage the tool lifter. Touched. Come in here and tighten my set screw on my 0. We use the compound for feeding because the knee support out here is locked to give extra stiffness to this column and put a lot less wear on the ways, which is relatively short in height compared to the length of the box. So with that, we should be able to make our first cut. So I'm going to dial in, I'm just going to do 1 millimeter. Feeding 3, so I had to decrease it a little bit. Seems like that knob flips if you don't get a good tight. So as far as just squaring up a block goes, we could certainly call that done. It's not a great surface finish. It's kind of a little bit rough and torn. The other thing is, in case this bar does have some stresses in it, I would prefer to not take all my width, which is going to be a minimum of ½ inch, off one side and just barely clean up the other. So I'm going to take pretty much a full 1/4 inch off this side. I'll get a little more time to play with it, and I'll keep the stresses most even. So last cut, you can see a line where something went wrong, and that was that my tool chipped. Not all that surprising. You're not really supposed to use carbide on shapers. So I swapped to a different tool bit, and we'll see how this one does. If it fails too, then we'll have to figure something else out. All right, so I just ground up this high-speed steel tool as one I had previously, but I just put a fresh sharpening on it. It's only 1/2 inch, but I'll back it up with a 3/4. And if this works good, then I will I'll grind up some 3/4 tools. Here you can see the damage to the first tool. Just a little bit of cratering on the corner. The second tool didn't get that bad, but you can see it's pretty similar. It's loose in the corner. So I adjusted my parameter. I'm running high-speed steel, taking a 2 mil depth of cut, 80 thousandths, and we're running 0.1 millimeter step over, or about 4 thousandths. And leave a lot smaller chips. They're not turning colors. I'm not quite to full 25 strokes a minute, but seems to be doing pretty good. And if I like this, I might try doubling the feed a little later. We'll see. But so far, so nice. 7 amps is what the motor's rated for, so got some room left. That is a much better looking pile of chips there. Just a tinge of color to them. It's kind of what we want to see right there. Side's pretty much done, unless we want to do a finish cut on it. I'll get that wiped off, take a look at it. There's a surface finish on it. Not great, not terrible. Thought I was leaving a fair bit of material to finish on it, but as it turns out, I didn't do the most basic of due diligence. This is not 2-inch square, this is 1 3/4 square. So this is now basically at dimension. Luckily, I did start with the big dimension first in case I messed up, so I could take it down. So this other dimension needs to be 1 1/4 now, so basically I've just swapped. Now I'm going to start on the 1 1/2, and this will become the 1 1/4. So we're all good. For this next cut, I'm going to try and take 3 millimeters. If that's good, then it's just one pass on the top and I can flip it over. I don't have the clapper box angled anymore because of clearance on the lift rod, and so just to make things simpler, I'm just lifting it enough at the end of each stroke to where the tool never drags. Plenty of oil on it. So if this were a lathe, and it's not, and my grandmother's not a bicycle either.
If my grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike.
But if it were a lathe, we would be taking about 1/4 inch off the diameter at a 4 thousandths feed rate. cutting again. This is only 2 millimeters. Had a little issue on the last cut where the this dial moved, just due to the cutting forces, I guess. And so what that caused is the bottom of this piece to be tapered about halfway through there. Kind of started digging in. So taking a little lighter cut, and I tightened up the Gibbs screw on the side a little bit to hopefully keep it from walking. Just going to keep an eye on it. So after a lot of changes to the setup, I'm cutting a finished pass right now. I've been chasing out of squareness issues between the fixed jaw side and the side that's just been cut. So this is 0.8 millimeters, 0.3 millimeter step over, or about 12 thousandths. And hopefully it's going to be square. The tool it's a carbide tool, and it has about a 3/8 inch radius on it, if I remember correctly. That ain't half bad. That actually feels, we got a little bit of catches in it, but feels really good. Question would be, is it square? So it is nice and square. I guess just like a lathe, you can't be crazy on your depth of cut or your feed rate. So looks good. Let's do the other side. Taking our final pass right now. Should take it right to about 1.5 inches. Alright, so we got a little bit of a problem. I've been running this machine and starting to hear a tick on the low gear back in there, right there. Straight ahead, focus, right there. What I've found out is that the oil is not as clean as I thought. You can kind of see some schmutz down in there. So I think a big culprit of that is on this door. This paint that's flaking off is definitely getting down in the oil. Well, balls. Looks like I should have cleaned it a lot sooner. Look how filthy that is. It's got paint chip all up in it and sucked the filter back into it because of all the resistance it was fighting. That hole was hardly even in there, so it was pretty much pulling through a solid clog. It's not good at all. This is my second piece of material. I wasn't going to film this one at all, but when I started, it had such bad hard spots in it that it destroyed my tool in the first pass, and I couldn't get anywhere at all, and it just was shoving it out of the holder once it dulled it. So I did what my dad suggested and put it in the wood stove overnight after building a nice hot fire on top of it, and let it cool. Stuck it in the ash bucket this morning, let it cool all day, and as you can see, taking a 2 millimeter depth of cut, and it's just butter. It's having zero issue. So, pretty cool. Okay, so we're ready to grind that 3/4 inch tool bit, but I could really use a water bucket to dip it in. We should do something about that. That's better. Let's grind. Alright, so just finished grinding up the Super Momax Cobalt. Got a right-handed tool right here and a left-handed tool right there. So I should be able to do anything I need to on the shaper. We got 1 inch of step back, and it's been ground with the carbide grinder, so it's got a nice finish on there, ready to go. Just a small radius. So over the next few clips, you're going to see me cutting in the T-shapes, the T-nuts. I'll be steadily increasing the depth of cut to really push the shaper and see what the maximum material removal rate I can achieve is. Taking 4 just fine. Go with 4.5. She is getting it. 5 millimeters dialed in for the second to last cut. Done 2, 3, 4, 4.5, and this will be 5. And that's pretty cool. Look at those chips. Thanks to that big old high-speed steel cutter, this thing is looking just awesome. We're taking off some serious meat each pass, 5.5 millimeters. Those are gorgeous chips. Nice little curl to them. Just a little bit of blue. Really, really satisfying how well this machine's doing with this bigger high-speed steel cutter in it. All right, so we're set up for the first time to feed vertically. Haven't done that before. So to do that, we'll just engage this guy. Tell him to go up. Yep, so starting to rub. One side's done, on to the next. I think we're going to try a 6.5 millimeter depth of cut, since 6 millimeters was good. We've got 19 to go, so 6.5 should do us pretty well. So let's dial that in. Everything's locked in. 4, 5, 6.5. Well, 6.5, pushing it pretty hard. I think we need to try 7. Like 7. All right, well, there's some hot chips from 7 millimeters. Getting pretty big now. I'm not sure how much harder I want to push the machine. It definitely seems like it's working pretty hard at 7 millimeter. Could maybe do 8, but I'm not really sure that it's worth it long term. But 7 seems pretty good. Those are definitely nice looking hardy chips and starting to make a lot more progress speed-wise than the previous little 3mm cuts I was doing. It is done. How about that? I'm elated. Many weeks, multiple weeks in the waiting. Got chips everywhere. It's been a learning process. Had to do some repair, but I don't think the camera does justice how excited I am. I really wanted this machine to be productive since I got it, and usually I let them sit for a number of years, Daewoo, and others, and to have this one just making an awesome mess on the floor and really taking some big chips and knocking these parts out has been just super satisfying. So here's to this one, and we got one more bar over here to do. I might get a little footage of that, I might not. This one's been annealed in the furnace, so maybe it will cut a little easier. That one's some pretty tough material, but they're both cutting good. Come back, put chamfers on them, and they'll be ready for cutting off in the hacksaw. An interesting phenomenon. You see how it's making little tight curls there? And they drop right in the bowl. Now watch what happens if I simply take the hertz from 53 to 60. Now look at the chips. They no longer break. Big nasty things. They'll get even longer. Big curls. See them there in the chip pan? Big nasty curls. That's why it's a beautiful thing having a VFD, because I'm in the lowest gear, but all I need to do is come down to 53 and my chip control issue is totally fixed. The tool cools down and we get nice tight chips again. None of that crappy long stuff overheating the tool. Love it. I've been told that chamfers are what separates us from the animals, so I guess I need to do that next. Use this handy little chamfer grinder. Thing works pretty well. Or I could use the shaper. All right, well, we are all set up to chamfer. I think this is the last operation for tonight. This Christmas stout has kicked my ass. Alright, so there's both of our bars completed. They fit in the slot just fine. So we're pretty much done with planer work, or shaper work. I think I will take a pass. It's not very square. And then go into the hacksaw and get these cut into pieces. Well, good. That didn't take long at all. All right, so we're going to let the hacksaw eat away for a while with those lovelies, and we'll bring y'all back when they're all cut to length. All right, all the T-nuts are done being shaped and cut up and in a box. We got 4 kilograms of them. So it's time to put 2 holes in each and see how much weight we lose. For that, we're going over to the Royersford Excelsior. And there we're done. Went pretty well, other than when my drill started to get a little dull at the end. Some of them got oversized. Otherwise, real happy with that. Got a mess of chips all over the table and on the floor. I've got 2 good taps here. Let's hope they can hold up for this. On second thought, I actually have 0 good taps that are spiral point. You can hear the grinder running. I'm going to try and dress it up. Well, by and large, every flute is a sharp tip again, but it no longer feels sharp to the hand, so it's also not much meat left on the ends. So I'm going to test it before I commit this to one of my blocks. Well, there they are, all finished up. All the tapping went well. We got the set screws in to lock them down into the slots. So this project is basically done. You might notice that 4 are missing from the set of 12, and that's because they're currently installed in a little shop crane I modified. So this was a really fun project, getting to learn to use my shaper, and just how much I could push the limits on it. So I hope you all really enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one.